vital health and housing issue. Us communists aren't people who build imaginary plans in the peace of their armchairs. Those are utopians. We need to recognize the difficulties of the struggle and that winning puts us against those who wield tremendous and oftentimes intimidating power. Colonialism and capitalism are the methods of those who deal in death and base their dominance on the ever-present threat. Republicans represent the will of the people and advocate for a society based on that. When we advocate for our rights, for them to be recognized when they are not, whenever we speak up, they threaten us to say nothing of when we do anything. Whether it's setting up housing and health stations around town, serving the people is necessary in the revolutionary movement because the power of the people is the force of life. Every day we reorganize brings new challenges, but every day we do not brings new misery and despair to the working class. We must extend our analysis of education to the future and those who want to leave us will remember us after we are gone. So that they too will remember that we did more, and importantly, how we did it. They can face the challenges which will inevitably arise, like those who fought to death for everything we have today. They will not face the same challenges. Centennials we now celebrate 1916 and 2017 were the culmination of decades of hard work, but also the beginning. The lives of the workers, peasants, and colonized people became something which they had the chance and challenge of building. The territory of Canada is incredibly vast, and it has never been an empty wilderness like the colonists imagined. Like the old Russian Empire, it contains many nationalities who yearn to be free. The police force's biggest asset is not the force which they wield with impunity, but those community members who are suffering from stigma around social issues. They are used to pressure and blackmail people into serving as their eyes and ears. The challenges people face are fodder for police repression. Serving the people and breaking the stigma can sever ties of police in our communities. Representatives from the Sinn Féin also recently attempted to hold an event, and in response, the 32 CSM disrupted with the Republican perspective that challenged them. We will also shortly be planning a letter-writing campaign for the inmates of Maghaberry, and you are all invited to attend. The mass work of the 32 CSM takes a legal aspect in multiple ways. To help its use to the people who are facing repression that can also be used to sustain the revolutionary movement, which inevitably comes up against such challenges. We have to rely on the masses not only for material support, but also the fact that there are eyes and ears everywhere to the vagaries and vicissitudes of the capitalist state and the key to its overcoming. Nothing is ever hidden, it only remains to be told. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we have Raf from Ireland. We have a really crappy Wi-Fi connection. The last time when we had our drugs meeting, it kept on cutting up. But we have a good connection now. So Raf's going to talk. When Raf's done talking, we'll have cake, and over cake, we're going to have Malcolm talk about what's going on in the Philippines. So, and then we're going to have our comrades from Pakistan also talk about their struggle against sectarianism. So this is the cake. It says, wait. We're going to lose the connection. This way. We have to keep it this way. Maybe we can put the camera that way. Yeah. Can you talk? Say something.
Yep. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Okay. Can people hear?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So this is the cake. So this is the cake. We have forks and stuff as well. And Raf's going to say a few words from the 32 CSM of what's going on in Belfast. And then,
okay. Right, okay. Right, thanks. First of all, thanks very much, everybody, for all the support and all the things that you've been doing over the last while. It's been a good help. It's also a good morale booster for us back home here, because over the last few years, particularly the last 5 years, there's been an onslaught from the Brits and their puppets in the 6 and the 26 counties to try and break the 32 county settlement movement. Use all the tactics that they've used in the past, arrest, internment, intimidation, death threats, but they've also brought in new tactics, splitting various groups, using groups masquerading as Republicans to intimidate ourselves, marginalise ourselves, and try and criminalise the Republican struggle. These groups, some of these groups masquerading as Republicans, be involved in all sorts of extortion, be it from local businesses right down to local drug dealers, taking a tax on them, allowing them to still peddle their drugs within our areas. We do, as we've always done, our best to try to expose what's going on and try to defend the Republican name. There's been men and women in the past who've given their lives to stop the criminalisation policy of the Brits in Ireland. We feel a tremendous responsibility now to expose what's going on and to try to counter the tactics that the Brits are employing through these so-called Republican groups. For the last 4 years, I was saying, it's been a pretty brutal time for Republicans who stay true to the cause. The Brits made a pledge that they'd have any kind of resistance quashed by the centenary in 2016. This was the undertaking the MI5 give to the establishment for all the funding that they've been given the last few years. They says, give us the money and we'll have it broken by 2016. So for the last few years, they've been trying all sorts and everything, the silences. And they never learn from history, because the more they throw, the more they oppress, the more people will resist and rise up. We see on our 20th anniversary of our formation, our analysis then is what it is now, is exactly the same. The compromising of our sovereignty and the taking away of the right to self-determination are the root causes to the conflict in Ireland. And until they're addressed and resolved, there won't be peace in Ireland. So we say we're coming out of a bit of a dark time in our history. We're very buoyant at the minute. People are coming back to our analysis. We're also using education to try to say to people the austerity and all that goes along with the poverty and the drug abuse and everything else within the communities is directly linked to the compromising of sovereignty, i.e. we don't have self-determination, we don't have it within our hands as a people to do anything about it whenever the colonial hand is at work in our country. So more and more people are coming to our way of thinking, and they're seeing that you can do what we do at a community level, try to alleviate the suffering that goes on in our communities, but we need to bring it up above that. We need to bring up the challenge, the foundation of the partition state in the 26 and the 6 counties. And until we achieve reunification and for us, the people, to take ownership of our country, then all we're doing is putting sticky plasters on whatever it is the issue of the day, be it sectarianism, poverty, or whatever else that the Brits are using within our country. So again, I just like to thank you all for your continued support and all the things that you do. We do follow quite a lot what's going on in Canada and as in other places. It does give us encouragement to know that there are people of the same mindset throughout the world with the same issues. And we're all. This isn't just an Ireland thing. This is a global thing, and we're all in this together. And by working, with other groups like-minded throughout the world, it does give us good encouragement and strength for the future. Okay, I'll just again thank you all for your support and enjoy your cake.
Yeah.
Okay, Malcolm, why don't you say a few words and start talking about what's going on in the Philippines, and be on Facebook. I'm gonna be back on in like half an hour. We need to chat, okay?
No, we do indeed. No problem.
Okay, okay, bye.
Hi. So, my name is Malcolm Guy. So, I'm a member of the Center for Philippine Concerns, which is a Montreal-based organization. It's the original solidarity group with the Philippines. It was formed in 1983. There's some debate whether it was 82 or 83, but anyway, that's a detail. So we'll say 83. And it was in the heart of the struggle against the dictator at that time. I don't know if you remember the history, but at that time there was a dictator called Ferdinand Marcos. And he had a wife called Imelda Marcos, who was known for having many shoes, and for spending exorbitantly. But the problem was not only spending exorbitantly, but also it was a period of intense political repression, imprisonment, and many deaths of all those resisting the dictatorship at that time. And I'll come back on why the date of the founding of that is important. But at that point, there was a people power movement that arose in the Philippines. And it's hard to imagine now, so many years later, how many of us who were around at that time and were politically involved and were open to ideas were influenced by that incredible movement that happened at that time against the dictatorship. The dictatorship had reached a stage where one of the main opposition figures, Aquino, arrived back in the Philippines after having been forced to go to the United States at one stage. He arrived back. He was getting off the plane in 1982 and stepping down the steps in Manila Airport, and the dictatorship had such gall that they murdered him on the steps of the plane before he even got off. But what they didn't realize, this was in 1982, was in fact the dictatorship had been going since 1968. In fact, this gesture on their part signaled the end, the beginning of the end of the dictatorship, in fact, because they had overstepped the bounds, in fact. And even at that point, the United States, which was backing the Marcos regime at that point, think, okay, this is getting a little over the edge. Perhaps we should start looking for replacements. So I'll come back why that's important, because now we have the danger of a new dictatorship in the Philippines under a president you may have heard of, Rodrigo Duterte. And we can kind of